Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video, I want to talk about Virginia Tech wide receiver Jaylin, now Washington Commanders wide receiver Jaylin. Who is he? What are his expectations for this year? And why I think he will be one of the steals of this draft. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Let's get right into it. So pre-recording this video, this video is being recorded on May 18th. I don't know when it's going to go out, but basically this is not a time-sensitive video, so it'll go out whenever. But if anything does change, just keep that in mind. Still a little bit under the weather, so that's why my voice is weird. But when the Commanders made this pick, I was very excited. I am a student at Virginia Tech, so obviously a little bit biased, but also I know a lot about Jaylen, have been watching him for a minute now. And I really wanted the Commanders to draft him. It was him or Bashal Tootin, but I really did like Jaylin. A lot of people were talking about Tootin before the draft, but one of my guys was Jaylin, and Jaylin, really good guy, and really athletic, has a lot of really good traits. And I think he could, at the minimum, be a Brandon Banks type of player if he does pan out as a returner. He can be that type of player on special teams, and then we'll see. We'll go from there on the offensive end as well. But Adam Peters was on the Pat McAfee show, said everyone in the building wanted to draft Jaylin. He's incredible, and we feel really good about him. He was raving about him on the Pat McAfee show. Said that was one of the guys, really, the guys they really wanted on day 3. So they were able to get him some information about him. So very, very athletic profile, ranked 112th out of 3,441 receivers from 1987 to 2025. The reason why he wasn't a 10 is because of the height and weight. The weight was 191, which isn't awful. It's, right around average. And the height is what brought him down. He's like 5'10", basically. But the vertical leap, 40-inch vertical leap, 9.6 on the scale. Broad jump, 11 feet, 9.79 on the scale. 40-yard dash time was outstanding, a 4.34. The shuttle was good. The 3-cone was exceptional. I mean, the athletic profile on this guy's insane. And, the production wasn't great at Virginia Tech, but there's a reason for that. The quarterback play. The main guy, Kyron Drones, he was, not playing the best, was playing hurt, and then they finally took him out. You had Schlee coming in, who, wasn't that great at all. And you had other quarterbacks. It was just a mess. And the offensive coordinator wasn't great. The offense in general was just not great. And, he still got drafted. Daquan Felton also, I don't know if he got drafted, or I think he was a UDFA, but they had a bunch of guys in general get drafted despite how bad the offense was. So it showed how good the players were, not necessarily, and was more of a reflection on how bad the coaches were, in my opinion. That many players got drafted and they still were not a great team. But I think Jaylin, his production was not very good at Virginia Tech. Like I'll go ahead and pull it up here, but his stats weren't great. I believe it was right around 500 yards at Virginia Tech, which isn't awful, but it's not very good. Let's see, yeah, right around 400 or 500 yards, 466 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also had 116 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, so that plays a factor too. So 4 touchdowns and 600-ish yards. Which, pretty good. 582 scrimmage yards. The year before was a better receiver, had more production as a receiver. And the year before at Middle Tennessee, had really good production. Obviously not as good of a school, in terms of football, but still had better production. But again, I think he's better than that. The production shows. And you look at his returning, he had 24 returns for Virginia Tech, 245 yards, average 10 yards a return, had a touchdown. This was 2024, and kick return didn't have much, so not used as much as a kick returner for Virginia Tech, but he was really good as a punt returner. I think I was there when he had that touchdown as a punt returner. I mean, averaging 10 yards, a punt return is very good. And, he also in 2023 was a little bit of a returner, but not as much. But he can, do kick returns as well. They don't need him to be that guy. They have other options out there. Austin Eckler can do it, but he's older. I would rather not have him, banging his head full speed. on these, different guys that are, again, coming full speed at him. You got Luke McCaffrey. That's an option. He showed at times that he was good at it. So you could, have Jaylen Lane as one of the guys back there, Luke McCaffrey as well, as, the options. Because sometimes they have two guys back there depending on where the guy, the other team is kicking the ball. But that's his production there. Nothing insane. You look at, the profile. I'll just read some of the strengths and weaknesses from Lance Zierlein. So semi-versatile slot option with good long speed and talent to add yards with the ball in his hands. He can stretch defenses from the slot with build-up speed and is a viable option in catch and run packages near the line of scrimmage. He gives too many clues as a route runner, needs to work on running repeatable, fluid routes as a pro. While he's tough as a runner, he can't muster the play strength or ball skills to win the contested catch game. Lane's best qualities give him a chance to stick on a roster, but he might need to earn his keep as a return man early on. So that's the profile on him. Again, I am a little bit higher on him than others are. He got drafted in the 4th. Thought he was a day 2 guy. Not necessarily that he was going to get drafted on day 2, but he's a day 2 type of player. This is Mark Bullock, who does a lot of work for the Commanders, or at least analyzing the Commanders. You said he has deep speed and ball tracking, short area quickness to make people miss, big yak potential. I've been talking about that a lot. Just some of those things right there. He's very shifty, has good agility. Like I said, can make people miss. And, I've been talking about him for a while. So you can go back and, see what I said at the draft is very similar to this, but just going more in depth on different things here with, Jaylen Lane. Yeah, he can take the, top off of defenses. He also can be used in the screen game as well. Maybe not the amazing blocker. He is small, so it's not necessarily the way you want to use him, but, he can play in the slot, can also play on the outside if you need him to, but, better used in the slot. And, I think at minimum, he'll be able to be a very good returner for you from the jump. Really good punt returner. Maybe he won't return kicks, like I said, but I think he'll be a really good punt returner for you, which can add a dynamic aspect to their return game that they haven't had in a minute. I mean, Crowder's been all right, but it's been a minute, probably since Brandon Banks, since they've had a elite returner. So Jaylen Lane, hopefully he can be that as a returner, but then also be a solid receiver as well. I don't have a lot of expectations for him as a wide receiver this year, just because the receiver room is a little bit crowded with Terry, with Debo, Noah Brown. I think he's better than a lot of you guys think he is. Then you got Luke McCaffrey. Who knows what he does this year? And then Jaylen Lane's in the mix there with him, Michael Gallup, and KJ Osborne. Jaylen Lane's obviously making the roster, but I'm just talking about in terms of offensive production. He is competing with a lot of different guys. So a great season for him. Not a great season, but a good season would be like 250 plus yards in my opinion, and being a really good returner. I mean, you look at Luke McCaffrey, he was a 3rd round pick. So a round before, even though he's end of the round. So if he was a few picks before Jaylen Lane, he had 168 yards and didn't add a lot on special teams. He was okay as a kick returner, but Jaylen Lane, if he can give you like 300-ish, 350 yards, which is double what Luke McCaffrey gave you last year, and then also give you really good production as a returner, then I think that's a really good pick on in year 1, and then from year 1 you build on that. Maybe in year 2 you can see him get more of a 500, 600 type yard season, and then year 3 is you get that Jamison Crowder type production that they got when they first drafted him a decent while ago, like 10 years ago, 10ish years ago. 10 plus years ago since they drafted Jamison Crowder. So I could see him having a Jamison Crowder type of career for the Commanders, but a better returner. And he's definitely different than Crowder. Crowder maybe a little bit better of a route runner, but Jaylen Lane is quicker, I would say, but not that Crowder was slow. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Just wanted to go ahead, talk about Jaylen Lane, give some more information about him. I didn't talk about everything. He's, from South Carolina, really good guy. His dad, I believe, was his coach. He's involved with him as well in terms of, I believe coached him in high school and, was involved in a lot of his decisions in terms of choosing schools. And I listened to Brett Pry talk to John Keim, and Pry talked a lot about his dad and how it was good that he coached before, so he could talk to Pry about Lane and just stuff like that, and get a good sense of who Lane was, so they were able to draft him there. So I thought that was a really cool tidbit by Keim, just talking about his dad has a football background and has been involved in Jaylin Lane's football journey over the last 20 years, and how that has helped him and help him get recruited to Virginia Tech a little bit. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.